Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to this video. Today I'm gonna catch up with you and share with you what I've done at the end of 2020 because I'm a little bit late in posting these videos. I have this one and my next one that is almost ready that I need to share with you really soon. I hope you had great holidays and that you were able to rest a little. I personally had to pack a lot of your orders at the end of the year, so I really wanted to thank you for all your orders and your support. It really means a lot to me and it helps me keep going and share my art with you, share this video with you. So thank you so much for your support. It was actually really fun and I felt like I was working for Santa in a way, so it was cool. And I've used some Christmassy paper for a change, and because I think it looks good because I know that some of you bought these as gifts. So you can see me here packing the orders. I've also decided to buy some new art supplies and I wanted to try these watercolor markers for a while now. So I finally picked up some colors, a few colors, the one I like the most and that I usually use the most. And which is great with these markers is that they are watercolor, so you can use water with them, and they have two tips. One is a little bit larger and the other one is a little bit thinner. So I think it's interesting to do some stuff, and I was just curious about them. And I sometimes use watercolors, as you know, so I wanted to just try them out and see if I like them. For that, I've used my refillable pen that is very handy when I use watercolor because I'm pretty lazy and I don't like to use a lot of brushes with my watercolor, which I think is weird, I know, because I love to use a lot of brushes when I'm painting with gouache, but not with watercolor. I don't know why. And I don't like to have a pot of water on my desk, maybe because I have a lot of stuff on my desk, so I think this is very practical and handy. So I've decided to use two different paper because I like to try new material with different paper just to see if they feel the same on different paper, if the result is consistent, and also I'm just curious to see how they look on different paper. One is a little bit lighter in color, a little bit more white, and the other one more cream, and also one has a lot more texture than the other one. So I've decided to do some swatches, just using the tips, and then I've decided to add water to see how the paint, like the ink reacts and how the colors can be mixed and how everything looks, just to try before using them for painting. My first impression was that they are very pigmented. The colors are very nice, I think, and I like that because usually when I use watercolor, I think the colors are not that intense, so that is very, very cool. And then you can add water, so you can have something a little bit lighter and more diluted, and yeah, you can then have a gradient of color if you want. I've applied the water directly on the ink and on the paper to see how the ink reacts, and it was interesting because it really reacts like watercolor, and the colors can be mixed very easily. I think this is a very easy way to start painting with watercolor. It's obviously different than using the actual paint, but I think the result is very similar and you can get something very nice with them. I'm still not very good at watercolor, I would say. I think it's very hard to master, and usually when I use watercolor I try to sketch before, because you can't really go back and erase your mistakes, so you need to avoid mistakes when you use watercolor. Usually I like to do multiple paintings in one session, so you'll see that a little bit later. I'm not gonna sketch, but at first I usually like to warm up with sketches. And I've also tried to use these markers in different ways. One is applying water on the paper first and then using the pen. I've also tried to use the pen first and then apply water. I've also mixed water with the ink of the pen on my palette and then apply it on the paper. That looks a lot like classic watercolor, but I wanted to try everything I could think of to really understand how these markers work and the best way for me to use them. And I would really encourage you to do that when you're using a new supply, to try to use it in many different ways, all the ways you can think of. I've also used some colors of my watercolor palette just to add some green here, because I didn't buy a green marker. So which is cool is that you can use the markers with classic watercolor. So it's nice for that, because it's another way to use watercolor and you can just spice up things a little and I don't know, have more fun if you want to be more creative. I think sometimes just changing a little bit your supplies can make a difference, so that's just a suggestion. Here I've also used some Indian ink, some permanent ink that you can use with watercolor, and you can use water on it and it's not gonna smudge or budge. It's really cool. I'm not sure I should have used them, like should I have used my black pens. I think I like the flowers before a little bit more, but yeah, I wanted to try, and you can still use this type of pen, so it was nice to try just to see. Then I've decided to not do a sketch but start directly on the paper with a black pen. Sometimes it's easier for me to not sketch which is weird, but I don't know, there is something different when you're not sketching, like you have to be in the flow. And as I had warm up before, I think I was in the flow and it was cool to just use my pen and then use watercolor on it. So for that I've used the black marker. I wanted to do something in black and white to use more of the gradient of the color, the black, to be more careful about gradients and the tone of the marker. I don't know how to say that clearly, but I think you understand. I just wanted to do something different and with one color, which is black, which it's not really a color, but you get it. For that I've used the marker on my palette, like I draw some lines on my palette and then use my water pen to add water and get the color and control a bit more the tone of the black that I'm using and get something more diffuse, more like watercolor. So you can also use these markers like classic watercolor when you apply it on the palette and then add water on the palette and then use a brush and use that on the paper. I hope that's clear. I think that's really cool and really useful if you're traveling, because you can just take your markers with you and not take a full set of watercolor, and that could be really interesting and nice to use, I think. Let me know what you think. I think it's also easier, and I like to use only 1 or 2 colors with these markers. I think it's better. It looks better, at least for me. And yeah, so I've learned that. Then I've also decided to do another flower painting, but sketching first. And yeah, I'm just experimenting here, trying to use these markers in different ways and again see what I like, what I don't like, and trying to do something that looks nice. And yeah, it was actually really fun to use them, and I'm glad I bought them because it's nice for me to use watercolor in another way, and I think I'm learning about watercolor a lot more like this when I'm using something different, and it was a nice experiment. So let me know if you have any questions about these markers or any questions about watercolor, and let me know if you want to see some type of videos, like if you have specific requests, let me know that in the comments. As you know, I love flower paintings, but I also love landscape paintings. So I decided to do some landscapes using these markers too. And I've done a kind of a sketch here. Something very quick, again, to see how they work and how I could use them to paint landscapes. Then I've used them for real and I've decided to do wintry landscapes with snow and pine trees using 1 or 2 colors. It was actually really fun to use them to paint landscape. I also used a little bit of silver to add some nice details. Here are the final results. Let me know what you think in the comments. Some of these paintings are available on my shop. If you are interested, please go check them out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy. Thank you again for your support. Please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I hope to see you soon in my next video. Bye!